In lesson 2, we're going to talk about positive and negative numbers. So let me go ahead and highlight our vocab here. A positive number are numbers that are greater than 0. Negative numbers are less than 0. Now, when we're using a negative number, we have a negative sign that goes with it, and that's highlighted there as well. So our negative numbers, they're going to go to the left of the 0. So they're going to go away from the 0. The positive numbers are going to go in the opposite direction. They're going to go to the right of the 0, and they're going to go in the greater than direction because they are numbers that are greater than 0. Our negative numbers are going to be our lesser numbers, so they're going to go in the negative direction. So our positive numbers are here in blue, our negative numbers are in red. We're also going to talk about absolute value. The absolute value of a number is its distance from 0. For example, the number 3 is always 3 units away from 0. That means the absolute value of 3 is 3. Since negative 3 is also 3 units away from 0, the absolute value is also 3. So negative 3, the absolute value will also be 3. We can write these facts using mathematical symbols. So the lines that you see right here, those lines mean absolute value. So right here, they're telling you that the absolute value of 3 is positive 3, and the absolute value of negative 3 is also positive 3. And then they also show you on a number line. So here's our 0, here's our negative 3, here's our positive 3. So when we're talking about the positive number, the absolute value stays the same. When we're talking about the negative number, the absolute value changes to a positive. On the try this, it says draw a point to show the location of each rational number on the number line. This is where we are going to make labels, and when you do yours, you will just have to drag the number to the correct spot on the number line. So the first one we have here is a negative 3. So this is a negative number. So our answer can only go in this part of the number line because this is where the negative numbers appear. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in this number line. So I have 0, this would be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. Now just to show you, going in the other direction, after 0 we would have a positive 1, positive 2, positive 3, positive 4, and positive 5. So my label here is a negative 3, so I would draw a dot or draw a circle on negative 3. And again, you just have to drag yours to the correct spot on the number line. Number 2, 0.7, that's a positive 0.7, so my answer can only be in this range over here, between that 0 and 1. So after 0, we would have 0. And it's hard to write small for me, but just to show you, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9 until I reach that 1 whole number. So 0.7 you would drag to your spot on the number line. Number 3, negative 1 1/2. Okay, this is a negative number again. So my answer can only be in between this range right here because that's where the negative numbers go. So negative 1 1/2. So I know since I have a whole number right here that my answer is probably going to go somewhere in this range because after negative 1 whole, that's where we would see that number. So, and I know that 1/2 is in the middle. So the middle would be, the middle would be right here. because I have -1 here, -2 here. So 1/2 would go right there in the middle. On 4, 5, and 6, you're going to do the same thing. You are going to drag your answer to the correct point on the number line. So on number 4, -0.4, we have a negative number here, so my answer can only be in this range. We're not even going to look at the other side. It can only be in between the 0 and the -1. And this is kind of just where you have to do some counting. So after my +0, I'm going to have negative, and this is, again, hard to write, -0.1, and then I'm going to have -0.2, and then I'm going to have -0.3, and then I would have -0.4. So you're just going to start at your 0 and count backwards. So let me get my pointer here. 1, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, -10. So I could have started here and went -1, -9, -8, but I think it's easier just to go ahead and start backwards. Number 8 is a +8. That one should be pretty easy. That's a +8, so my only choices of where the range is between those numbers right there. And here I'm just going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So again, your positive number won't have any symbols in front of it. So my +8 would be right there. And again, you just have to drag your answer to the correct spot. -3/4. Fractions will be a little tricky. This is a negative fraction though, so I know that my answer can only be on the negative side. So again, we're not even going to look at the positive side. So in between 0 and -1, in the middle would be the fraction 1/2, -1/2. Okay, that's the middle. I'm getting closer to 1. Okay, right after 0 would be a -1/4. So I have -1/4, -1/2. -3/4 would be closest to -1. So -3/4 would go right there. All right, then 7, 8, 9, and 10. You just have to write the absolute value of each number. And let me check on yours here. Yes, you do have to type in the number on yours. So remember, when it's a negative, you're going to change it to a positive. But when it's positive, it's going to stay positive. So the absolute value, and remember those lines there, those lines here, that means they're looking for the absolute value. So the absolute value of -2 would be a +2. The absolute value of +5.3 would be 5.3. The absolute value of -7 3/5, I'm going to take that negative and turn it into a positive. And the absolute value of -0.1, again, I have a negative number, so I'm going to turn it into a positive. So that would be +0.1. On your practice page 1 through 5, you are going to make a label on the following point on the number line. You will just have to drag your answer to the correct spot on the number line on your practice page. So remember, if it's a negative number, it's going to go only on the negative sign of the number line. If it's a positive number, it's going to go between the positive numbers on your number line. So again, you're just going to drag your answer to the correct location on your number line. And then at the bottom, write the absolute value of each number. So again, remember, if it's a negative, you're going to turn it into a positive. Negative 6 would turn into positive 6, but a positive 9 is going to stay a positive 9. Let me see. I'll do one example with you for your number line. Let me see which one I want to do here. Let's take a look at number 4, a negative 1.25. Okay, so I have a whole number. I have negative 1 here. So on number 4, my answer is going to be in between the negative 1 and the negative 2 because I have that whole number of 1 that comes before the decimal point. So in between negative 1 and negative 2, let's look at the halfway point. The halfway point would be right here. So my halfway point, that would be a negative 1.50 because that would be half. So you can kind of think of quarters here. I have 50 cents. If I take away 1 quarter, what would that be? That would be negative 1.25. If I added a quarter, if I have 3 quarters, that would be negative 1.75. And then if I added another quarter, that would be $2. So in this one, you can think of it like money. But negative 1.25 would go right after negative 1.